How about one of these young guys right over there? Go ahead. Go ahead. Good question, by the way. Very good question.
So I'm kind of going to go off of the one that was one before the last, but what's one thing that that you can tell young kids or people my age and all the kids to come that the America that you're going to make great, how can we keep it great so that it's great for our kids and the kids like from that?
Well, great. Very good question. So I have children, and Ivanka, everybody knows Ivanka, and she's very hardworking, very smart, very good person. She's doing a great job. She just finished up Trump National Doral in Miami, hundreds of acres of land right in the middle of Miami. Now she's very much involved in the old post office, and she has her own business. She sells shoes and dresses, and she's very entrepreneurial. People ask me, what do you do? I'm getting credit, and I hope, I knock on wood, because, all of a sudden, somebody that was good, who knows what happens. It's very fragile out there. It's very fragile. I've seen people doing really well, young children, and all of a sudden you find out they have a huge drinking problem or a huge drug problem. But one of the things that people ask me, and they ask me a lot, is what do you do about your children? How do you keep your children? Because my children all work hard and they love it and they do well at it. And they're asking me a lot and more about my children. And I say, since they were little, since they could barely speak, I'd say no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. And they're this big. They're this big. And I remember Ivanka looks, Dad, you're driving me crazy every time you say that. But I'd say it once a week, twice a week, 3 times. No drugs. She didn't even know what drugs were. She didn't know what alcohol was. Barely know what it was. But before they even knew what these things were. And I would just drum it into them. And I see it as so important because I have friends that are very smart and they have brilliant kids. Go to Harvard. One of them I know went to MIT and he had a tremendous problem because he had a drinking problem. And the world is so tough and it's so competitive that you can't put yourself as a child or even as a parent, if you want that child to be successful, at a disadvantage of letting them drink or letting them take drugs. Because it's not going to work. They're going to be at a tremendous disadvantage, and ultimately, they may never recover. It's so hard to recover from drugs. They say it's even harder to recover from alcohol, which surprises me, actually. But maybe it's the social thing. You're sitting down and everybody's drinking and they're all having a drink for dinner. Maybe that's tougher. But they say alcohol is actually in many ways tougher than stopping with the drugs. But I tell people what's really easy, like I never had a drink. I never had a glass of alcohol. And I in all fairness, I've watched people and I study people, and I had a great tutor on this. But I look and I see what it does to people when they lose control. And a lot of times they lose control. I had a friend who went to the Wharton School of Finance with me, a very smart guy. And I'll never forget when I was young, 18, 19 years old, he hated the taste of scotch, hated it. He couldn't stand it. Oh, this stuff is terrible. But he tried to develop. He said, I want to develop because, he became a massive alcoholic. He developed the taste all right. He became a massive alcoholic. And failed with everything. He lost his family, lost his home. This is a brilliant guy, lost everything because of alcohol. Well, I tell people, with your children, no drugs. And I tell the children, no drugs, no alcohol. And I say, no cigarettes. Cigarettes are just unhealthy. One thing I can tell you, because I don't smoke. I have some bad habits. But I don't smoke. You don't want to know what they are. Don't ask me. Somebody's going to get up. Please, that would be too many people back there with those cameras. But I say to people, if you don't drink, it's so easy not to want alcohol. If you don't smoke, I watch people smoke. It looks terrible to me. It's dry. It's terrible. But I have friends, they gave up smoking, and they can't do it. And they look at somebody smoking. To them, it's like, oh, boy, I wish I could have that cigarette. Just that one more cigarette. Then it turns out to be a disaster. But if you don't drink and if you don't take drugs, your children, meaning your children, are going to have a tremendously enhanced chance of really being successful and having a good life and having a happy life. And one other thing, I'll say this is a little interesting for some people, I hope. I have found, I deal with the richest people in the world. Carl Icahn is supporting me. Carl Icahn's one of the great businessmen of the world, and I'll put him in charge of China. I'll say, Carl, do me a favor, take a look at the trade pacts of China. He'll come back, no way, meaning no way will they get away with it, okay? Believe me, we have the greatest business people in the world, but we don't use them. We use political hacks. It's true, we use guys that give donations. We use donors. They give donations, and we get them into government. I will say this. We have people that, if we use our people correctly, and if we get away from this world of horrible, disgusting politics, we will be able to do things that we've never, ever been able to do as a country. I mean, we will be able to do some things that will be absolutely amazing. But anyway, just to finish, no drugs. Do you smoke cigarettes? Do you take drugs? Don't tell me. No? Kid, good-looking kid. Looks like, do you want to be a movie actor? You should be able to stand up. Look how handsome this kid is. Hey, by the way, you're very handsome, too. I have to... These are handsome. They got a lot of handsome people up here. But you don't take... Do you drink? No. Not good. Wow. Okay, he's going to be successful. Got to be successful. Good question. No drugs, no alcohol.